Hey everyone, hope you're having an amazing day. It's Code Karen. Welcome to r/relationships advice, where we have an incredible story with comments and updates. If you're new to this channel, a sub would be great. Let's jump to the stories. Our story is, wife, female 33, and I, male 34, decided to try for kids last year. Found out I'm completely infertile without surgery. 5 months later, she got pregnant. I literally do not know what to do. This is long. My wife and I have been married for 3 years, together for 6. She's always been one of the most amazing people I've ever met. No huge fights, love languages match up, and we're both fairly attractive people, which has been why we've always had a really strong relationship for so long. That's why this is so difficult for me. We've both been doing really well with our careers the last few years. She's in marketing, and I work independently as an IT consultant, allowing me to set up my own hours and be pretty flexible. We decided last year that we wanted to start a family, her most likely keeping her job full-time, and me scaling back to part-time. We've both been anxious but pretty excited to have our own kids. Long story short, I was diagnosed with azoospermia last December. Blockage in the pipes just meant I wasn't actually producing any sperm when ejaculating. It's curable with surgery, thankfully, and we finally got it scheduled this July. She's got a high sex drive, as do I, so we've still been very sexually active, but there should have been no way I could have gotten her pregnant. She missed her period this week. I couldn't imagine that she might actually be pregnant, right? The babies are bottled in until they get the blockage out. She took 3 tests though, and sure enough, they're all positive. At first, I was stunned, because this shouldn't be possible. She's never been unfaithful to me in the past and never given me a reason not to trust her. I'm not the jealous type, but I'm literally stuck. The doctor said this couldn't happen, and I can't believe my wife would jeopardize the future we've been so excited for over some fling when we seem to have such a great emotional and physical connection. My wife's been ecstatic. She's given no indication of any guilt or worry that she may have cheated. She was so excited when she first found out that I didn't express my worries then, but she left for work, and now I feel completely torn. What if she did cheat? Looking back now, there's a few tiny things that didn't seem to be an issue, but now have me racking my brain for clues. Her job often has her taking clients out for dinner, and it's not uncommon for her to get back late in the evening. She's definitely had a busy last few months, but that's not uncommon for her job. She always wears one of the same 2 perfumes, but she came back one night smelling completely different. I remember seeing a text message on her lock screen of just a winky face, a different time, but assumed it was one of her girlfriends. Man, I don't know what to do. I set up an appointment on Monday to see if there's any chance it could be mine. If it is mine, and I accuse her of cheating, then I feel like the world's biggest a-hole. But she's coming home in a few hours, and I don't know what I'm going to say to her. I can't stop thinking of these small things that may have been indications of her cheating, and I just didn't see them. Do I wait until the doctor appointment Monday before talking to her, or do I bring up these insecurities while she's celebrating the pregnancy? I'm worried I won't be able to hide what's going on. Edit 1. I should add I've been cheated on before. Our relationship has been pretty healthy, but that old fear is creeping back in now. I'm not sure if I can just wait until the appointment. Edit 2. I really hope you're right that some freak sperm made it past. My wife's coming home in an hour, and I have to decide if I'm going to put on a happy face until Monday or not. Edit 3. She texted saying she's going to be home late. This is bringing up some old emotional scars, I think, and it's just messing with me. I'm usually never this insecure or uncertain about being straightforward. I think I just need to find some way to bring it up without being accusatory. Let's head to the comments. Wasting Time of Life says, I literally just studied this. Okay, so although you've been diagnosed with azoospermia, it seems that when they looked at your semen in the lab, it didn't have any sperm in it. However, you produce a lot of semen, and the lab only looks at a tiny fraction of it, which usually gives a good response. Usually, you would repeat this test several times before concluding it's azoospermia. Although, just because the lab didn't see any sperm, it can just mean that you had an incredibly low count, so none of their samples from your sample showed any. This doesn't necessarily mean that, for example, in a normal ejaculation, a normal guy would have 30 to 300 million sperm, which is about 15 million per milliliter. It's possible you have maybe even 1,000 sperm per milliliter, and you would still be diagnosed with asapermia, as it would not be expected that the likelihood of getting pregnant at the right time with only 1,000 sperm would be probable. But it can happen. Even if you only had 1 sperm per milliliter of ejaculate, you could still get her pregnant, but you would definitely never find that 1 sperm as a biomedical scientist in a lab. Good luck and happy fatherhood. Bestie Gacina Tree says, keep your mouth shut till you get your test results. If, by some miracle, the dam is broken and you have some swimmers, you can rejoice greatly. If you mention your fears to your pregnant wife beforehand, you run the risk of totally trashing your marriage over your own paranoia. Granted, it's understandable, but wait till you know what's going on before you speak. A few days isn't going to hurt anything. Jerome 2 says, hey man, this is coming from someone who was cheated on by my then wife, who only told me she was cheating because she thought she was pregnant. My ex was white as a ghost even though she really wanted a baby. My gut tells me that if she was really ecstatic about finding out she is pregnant, she really doesn't think there's any way it's not yours. 2 cents from an internet stranger. Update from OP. First, I just want to thank everyone who reached out and offered their story about similar. I can't believe how many people are told they're completely sterile and end up being able to have kids anyways. I took a lot of what you guys said to heart. I had an ex of mine from years ago end up cheating on me, and it really left a scar for a while. It wasn't until I got more involved with sports and getting in better shape that I was able to try and move on. My wife and I actually met in a soccer league we were in together. We've had so much trust for so long that I thought those fears had gone away. It wasn't until now that I really started to feel shaken like that again. But I didn't want my past to get in the way of what could be just a huge blessing. A few people really articulated the right way to communicate my feelings in a way that wasn't accusatory and respectful of my wife. It's not uncommon for her to sometimes be home late, and she'll usually like to go straight to bed. I didn't want to dump this on her immediately, and I decided to give myself a night to sleep on it. I got up pretty early just being restless, went for a run, and cleared my mind. I couldn't wait any longer. I made our favorite omelets and told her I needed to talk about something. You know I'm not Ashley, right? She knows me well. Ashley's my ex who cheated. So, first, I apologized. I apologized because I let this build up in my head for so long without talking to her about it sooner. What should be a blessing has been nothing but insecurity and fear for me. We talked for a while. I told her how happy it made me to see her ecstatic and excited for the baby. I told her how much I loved the relationship that we've built together, and I felt like an a-hole for questioning her loyalty. She had never given me a reason not to trust her, and I still couldn't emotionally get over the thought of infidelity because of my ex. She thanked me for telling her, and she knew how hard it was for me to get over that. She volunteered to have us get a paternity right when he or she's born, which made me feel a lot better at first. But something still felt off. I honestly don't know why. Something about how she was so eager to get a paternity test, and almost not mad at me at all for having kept this from her. Normally, she would have been upset that I didn't bring it up right away, but there was just a weird feeling I couldn't shake for the rest of the day. It seemed like she was saying all the right things, and I couldn't get rid of this clawing feeling inside my head. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Maybe there's a gut feeling that I need to listen to. But I ended up going to the appointment alone, as we decided it would still be good to see if I still needed the surgery. Turns out, it's obstructive asapermia. I've read so many stories about people who were supposed to be infertile and ended up getting pregnant. So I brought that up, and how my wife's pregnancy was affecting me. The urologist thought it would be pretty unlikely that I wouldn't need surgery to have a kid with how mine was presenting itself. He mainly tried to skirt around the topic and mostly pushed me towards making sure she was actually pregnant. Being there didn't really help me. I feel like I just got more uncertainty. She had another night being out to 8:30 last night. We talked about scheduling an appointment to verify the pregnancy when she got home. She seemed a little confused, but then quickly agreed. She promised to do it in the morning. I asked how work had gone, and she gave me a kind of non-committal answer about her boss pushing her too much and being stressed out. There's nothing huge there, but she just seemed off. I really couldn't put my finger on it. We were still acting all lovey-dovey, but something just felt wrong, and I couldn't talk about it without repeating the same conversation we had Sunday. I've been trying to throw myself into work to distract myself, but I haven't been able to focus. We have a joint checking account that we'll sometimes move money in and out of, but really only use it for groceries or household items unless we talk about it beforehand. This morning, she moved half of it to hers, about $1,700. We don't do that. She's never needed to before. And I checked our healthcare portal, and she made the appointment for the one-time Thursday that I mentioned I was busy working on site. We were supposed to go together. I'm starting to go crazy. How do I bring this up so that it doesn't sound as if we are having the same conversation again? I'm looking into getting a second opinion for myself. But I need a litmus test for objective outsiders to know if I'm really losing it, or if this seems weird to someone else. Update. I've been trying to center myself. We talked calmly for a bit on the phone. She claims she moved the money out in anticipation for the deductible payments she'll have with different visits. I didn't bring up anything else, but she seemed a little impatient with me, probably rightly so, and implied we'd have a longer talk when she gets home. I'm just trying not to overreact right now. I don't know what to think. This is either a misunderstanding on my side, or I'm a father. Or not. Thankfully, she's not working late today. Thank you for those who are trying to keep me grounded. Update. I went for a long run to clear my mind. Got a shower, and then my wife should be home. I'm going to go into the conversation with no judgment, just objectively talking out the facts and why I've still been struggling personally with some of them. Regardless of what happens, I'm done with any confusion left between us. Thanks to those who messaged me and gave advice. Ray Shivanan says, there is a paternity test called non-invasive prenatal paternity, NIPP, that can check paternity before the baby is born. It includes taking your wife's blood, fetal DNA can be separated and tested, and your blood. She can get her blood taken first, and then you can go a little later. You don't have to have it done at the same time. I only thought of this because it cost around $1,700 to get it done. Doo-doo into Pee-Pants says, look man, you have to address the money thing, ASAP. That is something that requires explanation no matter what the relationship situation. Also, don't wait for the baby being born. You can test for paternity as early as 8 weeks, so you can test this now. There is a valid reason for that, and with the money movement, there is enough for you to force the issue. It's non-invasive. Go get it done. Happy update from OP. I'm sorry to drag y'all through the worst of my insecurities. I definitely channeled quite a bit of my negative energy into what I posted. But hey, that's what anonymous people are good for sometimes, I guess. Anyways, we finally sat down after she got home last night. I told her everything that was going on. The urologist, the money, the upcoming appointment. I told her how, even with all her reassurances, too many suspect things kept happening. She agreed how everything looked and immediately apologized. She knew I was off going into the weekend, but thought we addressed that. We talked about it Sunday, but I can get pretty internal with all these worries and not show them outwardly. And so while she had thought we were communicating, I wasn't. We decided to start from the beginning and go through everything together. The money was the real problem for me. She agreed how inconsiderate it was, with where my head was at, to do that without mentioning it. Apparently, the prenatal visits are so structured that they want you to set up a payment plan with them right away, and she wanted to make sure it was squared away to keep the appointment. She offered without me prompting to call them with me tomorrow to verify that, or if I really wanted, we could move the money back. She does get better rewards out of hers, so it kind of made sense. We read up on obstructive azoospermia, and it doesn't seem like they're invincible force fields. It seems like the only actual absence of the vas deferens, CBAVD, actually guarantees complete infertility, so it is possible for some sperm to get through. We're going to go back to the original specialist I was working with last year and hopefully get a clearer picture. It turns out the appointment she made was the only time they had available and figured it'd be best not to wait. I told her I took off work to go with her, and she was relieved I could join her. Once again, she said all the right things and seems genuine about getting us on the same page. After going through each thing, I was just wishing I believed her a little more before. She's stressed out with work and when she'll have to take off, but she really seemed to want to go out of her way to alleviate my concerns. She even offered an open phone policy if I needed. We did look at the text I saw, and it was just a girlfriend. Right now, I declined on the open phone policy because I don't want to be that husband. This has really made me take a deeper look at what's in my past and how that still affects me today. Even thinking back to this weekend, It was so hard to see in the moment how much all the uncertainty was affecting me. That level of anxiety literally makes you question what around you is real. I think the trust but verify is the best way to put it. I was just trying to verify without any of the trust, is all. This has all put a strain on our marriage right now, but I'm feeling a bit more like we're a team again, working towards easing that. She thought that a prenatal paternity test, ASAP, was a great idea, as long as we also get some kind of counseling together. I'm not big on therapy, but I can probably agree that it will most likely help. I'm feeling a little better about everything. Thanks again to everyone who reached out and shared their own story. Every other comment here I read was a story of a family member who was supposed to be barren and ended up popping out triplets. And most of all, those who helped me told me to try and communicate fairly through all of this. It's time for me to hopefully be a father. Goosebean says, therapy is definitely the way to go, bud. Regardless of how sound the advice given here is, friendly internet strangers are still strangers. The disconnect the screen presents can sometimes create a chasm between individuals. Glad to hear things worked out for ya. Noodles for the Soul says, I love the update, and I'm so happy it all worked out. However, on a more serious note, I would suggest you go to counseling. Based on your last posts, you need to work past your issues that you had with your ex. The level of anxiety you've carried the last few days isn't healthy, for you or your pregnant wife. It's clear that it's not something you really worked through and is currently impacting your marriage. Best of luck on fatherhood. Smittyman Jensen says, all I can suggest at this point is to remember that you're not the only person that went through a traumatic event here. Your wife did as well. She realized her husband does not fully trust her, regardless of whether it's within your control or not. Please keep the lines of communication open with her and spend time together to rebuild that trust. For both of you.